my beautiful friends. I'm your host, Leah Rolling.
And I'm Cari Kenzie. Welcome to iShft Happens. Discover the leader within. This podcast is designed to disrupt the way you live, lead, and love. At iShft, we challenge traditional narratives and believe that inner wisdom is the key to every decision.
Are you ready to explore a new paradigm of both living and leading? We'll dive deep into our innate strengths as women: compassion, curiosity, intuition, grace, vulnerability, and love. The shift, it's about to get real. Rediscover the power within and transform your life. Stay tuned. It all starts now. Hello. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to iShft Happens. We are your hosts, Leah Rolling and Cari Kenzie. And while we are your hosts, you, our beautiful friends, are the true star of this podcast. Every conversation that we are going to bring to you is centered around you, your dreams, your vision, your journey. Our mission truly is to help you with yours, empowering you to bring your dreams that you hold, the vision that you lead, and the love that you share in a way that allows you to expand to your fullest potential. But let's be real. Shit happens. And I don't say that word very often. Things don't always go as planned. People can be difficult. Circumstances can trip us up, and we can let our doubts and our delays and the distractions derail us from our path. And that's where Cari and I come in. We are your guides. We are here to help you navigate these life's inevitable challenges. We know that obstacles and setbacks are a given. I don't know, haven't you noticed? But what many of us don't know and realize is that challenges are just not meant to be overcome. They are meant to be embraced as opportunities for breakthroughs. So that is why we are here. That is why we're bringing iShft Happens podcasts to each and every one of you.
That's amazing.
So
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a way to kick it off. This has been such an incredible journey, and I love that we both got here today and we're like, I'm so nervous.
I know, right?
Which is absolutely beautiful because you and I have both been podcasting for a while, right? You're coming off of your show, I'm coming off of my show, and we have decided to come together really in this mission that we have both been called to. It has been laid on both of us. And we thought, there's such power in collaboration. There's such benefit to conversation, quite honestly, right? So often we think, man, we should just have our talks on a podcast, or we should be on Instagram Live, because it's just powerful. And I say that because shit does happen. And it does not matter who you are or what scale you've made it to or how successful you believe somebody is. It happens. And so I'm excited to not only be able to share the things that we've been through and the lessons that we've learned and the experiences that we've had, the strategies, the stories, but also the real time shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would say.
So I think I want you to welcome your tribe in, and I want to welcome my tribe in, because what I want my tribe to know, and I'm going to get choked up like talking about it, is I've heard you, I've listened to you, I've loved your texts, your messages, your emails, sharing like you sent this to your kid and this is what happened, or you sent this to a team member and this is what happened. And I want you to know that 1 + 1 here is 11 and plus. Like what you get here is like me on steroids, because now you get Cari. And so the podcast that we had been having doesn't go away. it just gets transformed into another level because you're there, because you're ready, because that's what's required for that next level of growth. And I know that's what was required for my next level of growth. So this isn't an ending. this isn't an ending. It's a beautiful beginning. So I welcome all of you to the show, and I welcome you into one of the biggest gifts you'll ever get in your entire life, which is the gift of Cari and her love and her intuitive knowing and her passion for and huge heart for yours. So,
Oh my gosh. See, you started off choked up, and I'm like, I'm not going to get choked up. And
I
then I'm
know,
like, oh,
right?
stop talking. Stop talking. When you were talking about transformation, right? It is not an ending. It is just a transformation into new, into beauty. And it's an evolution. And what I saw as you were speaking about that was like a butterfly coming out of its cocoon, right? And that's really what this transition, this transformation feels like for me as well. Just in having, like you said, just being able to have the conversations that we've been able to have on our podcasts and the feedback that I've received, and same of the sharing of the, oh my gosh, I had to binge you because I was gone for 4 weeks and I needed to catch up on everything that you were talking about type of situation. And quite honestly, the gift that each and every member of the audience is to us. Right. And so to bring that together so that I can share the gift of you, like one of the greatest gifts of my life as well, is just in your heart, your love, your mission, your compassion, your brain that baffles me on a daily basis. I'm like, I don't know how you do it, Leah, but it's like beautiful, the frameworks and the strategies. And I mean, this is just going to be such an incredible launch of conversations of a treasure that like we were gifted with, that we found within one another, that we now get to bring forward to the audiences. And so I am just so thrilled to have each and every one of you alongside us in this journey.
Oh, yes, yes, and yes. So with that conversation today, Miss Cari, is really around, we kind of teased out like why we're doing this.
Yes.
But we also want to invite you to consider the what you might get. That we already told you that we're breaking down the shit. We are giving you frameworks, strategies, perspective checks, philosophies. We're going to bring forward people that we're going to interview that are navigating very similar situations, very similar challenges to what it is that you are navigating. That is all to come. But this episode is really about inviting you into your potential, And I'd like to ask Miss Cari a question, which she doesn't know I'm going to ask her, which is even more fun. It's all around, what do you think, Miss Cari, that our audience needs to know, that needs to feel, that needs to experience right now as they're listening to us in order to take whatever it is that's on their heart to the next level?
Oh my gosh. The very first thing that comes to me is actually a conversation I had yesterday. And I was working with a woman, and she had separated from, that's what they call it. She had separated from the Air Force. And just going to bring me to tears. We all, I will say all, on some level, navigate a worthiness issue. Every one of us. There is something so, I don't even want to say core, but like habitual in the way that we respond based on the things that we have learned, the things that we have been shown, the experiences that we have had, or the words that have been spoken. And it has instilled in us this like house of mirrors in the way that we perceive ourselves, where we don't see ourselves in truth, but we see ourselves through the lens of somebody else's perspective. And that worthiness issue sits at the core of it. Because if we truly understood our worth, our value, we would honor that voice and we would step forward instantaneously. It would not be a question. And most beautiful thing that this woman said to me yesterday that I pulled back in front of her as we navigated, she said, in that separation moment, she said, that was the most worthy thing I ever did in my life. Because I chose me. And while everybody else wanted me to stay, my superiors asked me, told me they needed me, the Air Force needed me, everybody wanted me in that position. I chose me. And it's the most worthy thing I ever did. That's what I would say.
To choose you.
To choose you.
Yeah.
To choose you.
Yeah. So what are some questions that we can ask our audience? Because choosing you is like, it's a beautiful philosophical conversation. It looks pretty on one of our logos that we have, right? But
it's a great sticky note, right?
It's a great
Put it up on your
sticky note.
mirror.
Choose you. It's a great reminder. But we're going to get real on this show. This isn't about fluff and like whipped cream. What does it mean? Like, what does it actually mean to choose you? Like, what are some questions? And then I've got a few, but what are some questions? What are some practices? What are some frameworks that we can bring to our audience? I love a good framework.
No, you do.
So that they can be reminded every day that choosing them is a choice. It is a choice, my friends. And for most of us, it's a choice that we haven't chosen.
No.
Right? We haven't let our mattering matter.
No.
For whatever reason, whether we think it's selfish, whether we've not been modeled it, whether or not we've not been praised for it. Rather, we've been praised for being pleasing. We've been praised for speaking when spoken to, right? Whatever it is, these are all of the things, these are all the patterns that we are looking to disrupt so you can finally do what you know. But it's impossible for us to do what we know because one, we don't do what we know, we do who we are. So it's really disrupting those patterns to get you back into who you are. And who you are is always the choice of you. So if that is true, and that's what we're claiming right now today, then what are the questions that you all, and I want you all, as you know, like, I don't want you just to kind of listen to this. I want you to have a notebook. I want you to take notes. I want you to write down these questions and answer them, right? Because when you understand these questions are for your discovery, again, you're the star. We're just the guides here, just offering up questions for, self-discovery and reflection. But what would be one or two questions, Cari, that you might invite the audience to consider as to whether or not they're truly choosing them or not?
Oh my gosh. Now you could play that in so many different directions because there's questions that you can ask to understand whether or not you're choosing yourself. And there's questions you can ask to actually choose yourself, like a barometer, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Let's do both.
So right. So when you ask, what is the question? I'm going to say as the barometer first. In order to know whether or not you're choosing you, it's always to do a check of emotion, a check of feeling. What is the experience that I am desiring to have? What is the emotion that I'm feeling? What is the like that little nudge? We all have it, that little experience of like, that does not feel good, but I feel like I should. That's never a choice of you. It's never a choice of you, right? But if you can, when we get to a place where we can feel that emotion, where we can feel that, it's just even the tiniest little bit of sandpaper, right? The little bit of grit. And you're like, that just, for some reason, that doesn't feel good. You know what? I'm going to step away just for a second. I'm just going to pull back just for a second, recalibrate. And then maybe it's like you're putting a toe in the water and you're like, damn, that's cold. Pull back out. And then you put your toe in, you're going, God, that's not as bad as I thought it was, right? So maybe. But that's the first question. You've got to check, what is the experience I really want to have? And what is the emotion that I'm feeling, right? And then the question that I'm getting, really where you get to ask, are you choosing you in any particular moment, right, is going to come back to, again, how am I feeling in this experience? And who is this honoring?
Mm.
Who is this honoring? And when I say honoring, so let me break that down just a little bit. When I say honoring, like who is it that's being held in this moment? Who's being held in this moment? Sometimes you do need to hold somebody else, but are you holding yourself at the same time? Have I taken both hands and have I reached out and have placed you within it, right? And I've kind of held on to that experience. And so I'm kind of sitting out here wavering. Or can we hold in both hands, or am I holding myself? Does that make sense? That's just the best way that I can break that down in, because it's not like a, this is the question you ask, this is a check, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, but it's an experience that we have to start becoming accustomed to.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's asking ourselves. The question would be, if there was a question in that, is how am I feeling? And am I honoring that feeling, or am I discounting that feeling because I feel as though this feeling isn't allowed because of their feeling? And this is the example that I love to give. Most of us are taught that we have to be disappointed when somebody's disappointed, or we have to be angry that somebody's angry, or we have to be sad when somebody else is sad. And so I see in this image, I see a child or even an adult that is in the water that doesn't know how to swim, and they're floundering in the water, right? And you see them like trying to swim, and see them trying to swim, and we think, because we have not been told how to hold space in honor of ourselves, we think that the smartest thing to do in that moment is to jump right into the pool when I can't swim either. So now, right?
Happened when I was 5, maybe 8,
Who's
maybe 8. Literally, you're telling this story. I'm like, oh my gosh, Leah, I did this. My sister in the deep end of the water doing this. And I'm watching everybody else just sit there. So what do? But I jump into the water because I'm going to save her, right?
Yes.
I'm going to save her. I jump into the water, and what happens? She climbs on my back. Because that's what they're safe, right?
Yeah.
You got to save me. Climbed on my back, and I went under.
Holy cow.
This is exactly what you're describing.
Yes. And that's what we do. That's what we do. We delegate our emotions. We delegate the responsibility of others to ourselves, discounting the responsibility that we have to take care of ourselves. And then we jump into the water to try to save somebody and we don't even, now, if I was a very strong swimmer and I was certified and I knew that I could do
Precisely.
that, right, without putting myself in harm's way, then that makes great sense. But how many times are we jumping into water to save other people when we haven't even saved ourselves first? Right? And we haven't been cognizant that saving ourselves is the most important thing, right? And it's not a selfish thing. It is the most important thing, because your ability to hold space and to have support for this person requires it. It's not just, oh, it's a nice thing to consider. No, it requires it. If I can't swim, the best thing that I can do is get someone that can, throw a buoy in, call for help, right? But jumping in, so now we're both paddling and waiting and struggling, and now we have made it the responsibility of somebody else to take care of both of us.
Yes.
Right?
You like double down on the misery.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, you really do. Even where you think you are uplifting, where you're holding somebody up, you're drowning underneath. They're still scrambling up top. You just can't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
It is really fascinating. But do you
Yeah.
see why this is such a core element in not just in life and for children who have siblings who are swimming and you're jumping in the water, but for leaders, right? For the people who are really holding the space and stepping forward in the mission. Like, it is so imperative, so imperative. Another conversation I had, which just ties so specifically into this yesterday, was with a couple of women who are really, really efforting a huge mission. in helping a collective of women who have undergone severe tragedy, severe suffering. And as we're having the conversation, they're sharing the experience with me of them being underwater in that trying to elevate and bring people up. And it is not to say that there are not places where we step in and we advocate and we want to help the staff member, or we want to help the significant other or the child. It is not to say that. It is to say and understand, again, know your strengths, know where you hold that power, and then be able to not only maybe bring alongside somebody who can really help because they have that container of space to hold, not just for them, but for you. And then you both elevate collectively so that now you are in a better position to be able to continue to lead forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if we're going to keep with the underwater analogy,
So good.
how many of our leaders, the people that we get to work with, the audience, feel underwater? And how many lack the tools to be able to get themselves out of water and take incredible, massive accountability and ownership in their efforts to do so, because what happens is a lot of leaders, and everything that we share here, we navigate as well. It is so easy to blame our circumstances, our situations, the lack of progress towards a mission on other people, on processes, on technology, on fill in the blank. And yet it can't be that for the reason. It can't be their responsibility collectively. It always has to come back to our responsibility. Where are we not owning it? Where are we blaming it? And where are we not taking credit for it? Because the answer lies in between. The answer lies in between, where we're placing blame of what's going on that shouldn't be going on. And then we become emotional because we are emotional people. And rather than elevating everybody in the conversation, we end up, drowning with everybody in the conversation. And that is not where problem solving happens. That's not where our best decisions happen. That's not where we're honoring the mission. Where we're honoring the mission is in always choosing us, choosing you, and understanding that it's always, and I know a lot of us don't want to hear this, but this is the truth. It's always our fault.
Always.
So wherever you find yourself placing blame on colleagues, placing blame on your team, placing blame on your patients, your clients, placing blame on technology, placing blame on processes, placing blame on your marketing strategy, placing blame on any of it, the invitation is always back to self.
Because here's the thing, all of that you just said is simply the support, and you are the answer. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, beautiful friends. This is our request. Our request always is that you choose you. Our request always, in that choosing of you, that you show up with us every week. That you let us know what you need, that you let us know what you're navigating, that you let us know what you're challenged with, so that we can help support you as your support, because you have the answers. I promise you, you do. And if you know anyone that navigates this life as a human that struggles, invite them to the show. We would love to have them participate in these conversations, because it's a collective conversation for a movement to consciousness, a movement to love, a movement to discover the leader that's within each and every one of us, so that each and every one of us collectively can push our purpose forward and to really stand in the truth of who it is that we are. Cari,
It's
bring us home.
beautiful. That's beautiful. That is exactly it. So for the course, until we get to chat again, what I would say is continue to choose you and to know that you are worthy. And every single time that you make that choice, it is the most worthy choice that you will ever make.
Have a beautiful one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Shift Happens. Discover the leader within with Leah Rolling and Cari Kenzie, where we help you reconnect with your inner leader. Learn to trust your instincts and live with authenticity and confidence.
Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time to Shift Happens on Transformation Talk Radio for more insights, inspiration, and actionable strategies to live and lead, not only in purpose, but on purpose. It is time to embrace a life and leadership style that is true to you. For more information, visit shift.life.